Part 1. The laughing soldier, Captain Kim Tae-ho, stood at the front window of his ship, watching the enemy fleet approach. The black ships moved through space like hungry sharks, their dark metal surfaces gleaming under the distant stars. His hands rested calmly on the control panel, even though his heart was beating fast. Captain called Lieutenant Park So-min from her station behind him. The scanners show 50 enemy ships coming toward us. Our ship is alone. Tae-ho turned around and smiled at his crew. 23 humans worked at their stations, their faces showing worry and fear. Red warning lights flashed all around them, and the ship's computer kept announcing danger alerts. 50 ships against 1, Tae-ho said quietly. Then he started to laugh. It was not a crazy laugh or a scared laugh. It was the laugh of a man who had seen death many times and decided it was not so frightening after all. The sound filled the bridge, and his crew looked at him with surprise. "Sir," said Engineer Lee Min-soo, "should we send a message to Earth Command? Tell them we need help." "No time for that," Tae-ho replied, still smiling. "Besides, where would be the fun in waiting for rescue?" The enemy ships were called Reapers. They had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, destroying entire planets when they wanted to. Every species in the galaxy feared them. Their ships were bigger and stronger than anything humans had ever built. Their weapons could tear apart mountains, but Tae-ho had fought them before. 3 months ago, he had been a young lieutenant on a patrol ship when the Reapers first appeared in human space. He had watched them destroy 2 colonies without any warning. He had seen their power and their coldness. Most people would have run away. Tae-ho had volunteered to fight them again. Captain So-min said, "They are sending us a message." "Put it on the screen," Tae-ho ordered. The main screen flickered, and a terrible face appeared. The Reaper looked like a machine mixed with something that had once been alive. Its eyes glowed red, and its voice sounded like metal scraping against metal. "Human vessel," the Reaper said. "You will surrender immediately. Your ship will be destroyed if you resist. Your crew will be processed. You have 60 seconds to decide." "Aho!" Looked at the ugly face on the screen. He looked at the 50 enemy ships surrounding his small vessel. He looked at his crew who were waiting for his orders. Then he laughed again, even louder than before. "Tell them," he said to So-min, "that Captain Kim Tae-ho of the Earth Defense Force has a message for them." So-min opened the communication channel. "Go ahead, Captain." Tae-ho stepped closer to the screen and looked directly at the Reaper. "My message is simple. Humans do not surrender. We get creative instead." The Reaper's red eyes seemed to burn brighter. "You will be destroyed, human. Your laughter will not save you." "Maybe not," Tae-ho said, "but it will make this interesting." He cut the communication and turned to his crew. "Listen carefully, everyone. We're going to do something that has never been done before. We are going to ram the biggest enemy ship while firing every weapon we have." "Sir," said pilot Han Woo-jin, "that will destroy our ship too." "Yes, it will," Tae-ho agreed. "But it will also show these Reapers that humans are not easy prey. Sometimes the best way to win is to make sure the enemy remembers you." His crew looked at each other. They were scared, but they trusted their captain. They had seen him laugh in the face of danger before. They had seen him turn impossible situations into victories. "What about the escape pods?" asked So-min. "We will use them," Tae-ho said. "But first we give these Reapers a lesson they will never forget." The enemy ships began to move closer. Their weapons started to charge up, ready to fire. Tae-ho could see the energy building in their gun ports. "All crew to battle stations," he announced over the ship's speakers. "Today we show the galaxy what humans are made of. Today we laugh at death itself." The crew worked faster than they had ever worked before. They loaded every missile, charged every weapon, and prepared every system for maximum power. The ship hummed with energy as it got ready for its final battle. Woo-jin Tae-ho called to his pilot, "Set course for the biggest Reaper ship." "Full speed, yes, sir." Min-soo, "Prepare to overload the reactor. I give the signal, push everything to maximum." "Ready, Captain?" So-min, "Prepare to fire all weapons at once." "Wait for my command." "All weapons ready, sir?" Tae-ho sat down in his captain's chair and looked at the enemy fleet one more time. The Reapers thought they were so powerful, so frightening. They had destroyed countless worlds and killed billions of people. They believed nothing could stand against them. They were about to learn something new about humans. "Begin the attack," Tahoe ordered. The ship shot forward like a bullet. The Reapers were surprised by the sudden movement. They had expected the humans to try to run away or to beg for mercy. They had not expected them to attack. The human ship flew straight at the largest Reaper vessel, its engines burning bright blue. The enemy ship started firing, but they were too slow. Tahoe's ship was already too close. "Now, Min-Su," Tahoe shouted. "Ow. Overload everything. Fire all weapons." He called to So-Men. The ship's missiles and energy beams struck the Reaper vessel just as the two ships crashed together. At the same moment, Min-Su overloaded the reactor. The explosion was so bright it could be seen from 3 star systems away. When the light faded, both ships were gone. But the explosion had damaged 3 other Reaper vessels, and the shockwave had scattered the rest of their fleet. A small escape pod drifted away from the battle site. Inside, Captain Kim Tae-ho was still laughing. He said to his communications officer, who was in the pod with him, "Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them the mission was successful." "What mission, sir?" "We were just supposed to patrol this sector." Tae-ho smiled and looked out at the confused Reaper ships. "The mission to show these aliens that humans are not afraid of them. The mission to prove that sometimes the best defense is a good laugh." The Reapers watched the small escape pod drift past their fleet. They could hear the human captain's laughter coming through their communication systems. They had never heard anything like it before, for the first time in thousands of years. The Reapers felt something they had forgotten how to feel. They felt uncertain. Admiral Lee Min-ho sat in his office on Earth Defense Command, reading reports that made no sense. On his desk were files from 12 different battles across the galaxy. In every single fight, humans had faced impossible odds against the Reapers. In every single fight, humans had won. The victories should not have been possible. He picked up the first report and read it again. Commander Choi Dae-yoon had been in charge of Proxima Station, a small mining outpost near the edge of human space. The station had 300 civilians, 20 security guards, and mining equipment. Nothing more. When 50 Reaper ships appeared, Dae-yoon should have surrendered immediately. Instead, she had sent a message to the enemy fleet. The message was her laughing for 30 seconds straight. "What did she do next?" Min-ho asked his aide, Captain Park Jun-ho. "She used the mining lasers as weapons, sir." The civilians helped. They turned the asteroid mining ships into fighters. When the Reapers got close, she blew up the station's power core. Min-ho shook his head. "How many Reaper ships were destroyed?" 27, sir. More than half their fleet." "Commander." "Choi. She died in the explosion, sir." But her last message was recorded. She was still laughing when the station exploded. Min-ho set down the report and picked up another one. This one was about Captain Han Woo-jin, who had been flying a cargo ship full of farming supplies. The ship was old and slow, with no weapons except a small defense gun. The Reapers had sent 12 fast attack ships to catch him. They thought it would be easy. Woo-jin had led them on a chase through an asteroid field for 6 hours. Every time the Reapers got close, he would hide behind a big rock. When they followed him, he would somehow make the asteroids crash into their ships. "How did he do that?" Min-ho asked. "Nobody knows, sir. The Reapers think he can control gravity. Our scientists think he was just very good at calculating how the asteroids would move. In his cargo, he delivered it on time, sir." Farming colony got all their supplies. Woo-jin said it was the most fun he had ever had flying cargo. Min-ho picked up a third report. This one was about Lieutenant Kim So-young, who had been leading a patrol of 5 small ships. They had run into a Reaper battleship that was 100 times bigger than all their ships combined. So-young had ordered her ships to fly in circles around the enemy vessel. The Reapers had tried to shoot them, but the small ships were too fast. While they were flying around, So-young had been telling jokes over the radio. "What kind of jokes?" Min-ho asked. "Jokes about how ugly the Reaper ship looked, sir. Jokes about how slow it was." She made her pilots laugh so hard they forgot to be scared. "Did it work?" "Yes, sir." While the Reapers were trying to figure out why the humans were laughing, Soyoung's ships attached explosive charges to their engines. The battleship was destroyed. Minho stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see the lights of Earth Defense Command. Hundreds of people were working day and night to protect humanity from the Reapers. But the real protection seemed to be coming from something else. Human laughter. Junhoi said, "Call Captain Kim Tae-ho. I want to talk to him." "He is in the medical center, sir. His escape pod was picked up yesterday." "Is he hurt?" "No, sir. He is fine. The doctors say he is in perfect health. They are just confused about one thing." "What?" "He has not stopped smiling since they brought him in. Even when he sleeps, he smiles." 20 minutes later, Tae-ho walked into Minho's office. He looked tired, but happy. His uniform was new because his old one had been destroyed in the battle. Captain Minho said, "I have been reading about your fight with the Reapers." "It was a good fight, sir," Tae-ho replied. "We learned something important." "What did we learn?" "The Reapers do not understand laughter. They have never faced an enemy that finds fighting them funny. It confuses them." Minho nodded. "I have been reading similar reports from all over the galaxy. Every human commander who has faced the Reapers has used the same tactic. They laugh, they make jokes, and they do unexpected things. It works, sir. Fear makes people slow and stupid. Laughter makes people fast and creative. But why do you laugh, Tae-ho? You are facing death every time you fight them." Tae-ho sat down and thought for a moment. "Sir, do you know what my grandmother used to tell me?" "No. She said that life is like a joke. If you do not get it, you miss all the fun. The Reapers have been alive for thousands of years, but they have never learned to laugh. They have missed all the fun."
Oh.
"And you think that makes them weak?" "I think it makes them afraid, sir. They are afraid of something they do not understand. And that fear makes them make mistakes." Minho picked up another report from his desk. "This is from Colonel Yoon Mi-jin. She was defending a supply depot with 50 soldiers. 300 Reapers attacked her position. What did she do? She played music over the base's speakers. Old Earth songs, very loud. Soldiers started dancing while they fought. Did it work? The Reapers stopped attacking for 10 minutes. They just watched the humans dance and shoot. At the same time, Mi-jin's forces held out until reinforcements arrived. Tae-ho started to laugh, dancing and fighting at the same time. I wish I had thought of that." The Reaper commander sent a message after the battle, Minho continued. He wanted to know why the humans were dancing. He said it was against all military logic. What did Minhoon tell him? She said that humans fight better when they are happy. She said that unhappy soldiers are not worth much in a battle. Minho set down the report and looked at Tae-ho seriously. "Captain, I am starting to see a pattern in all these battles. Our people are not just winning because they are brave. They are winning because they are confusing the enemy." "Yes, sir." "The Reapers expect us to act like every other species they have fought. They expect us to be afraid, to run away, or to fight in normal ways. When we laugh and dance and make jokes, they do not know what to do." "Do you think this strategy will keep working?" Tae-ho thought for a moment. "I think the Reapers are going to try to understand us, sir. They're not stupid. They will figure out that we are doing this on purpose, and then what? Then things will get really interesting, sir. Because once they try to understand why we laugh, they will have to learn what makes us human. And once they learn that, what?" Tae-ho smiled his biggest smile yet. "Once they learn that, sir, they will never be the same again." Outside the window, Earth continued to spin in space. Across the galaxy, human soldiers continued to fight. Impossible battles with laughter in their hearts. And somewhere in the darkness between the stars, ancient Reaper commanders were beginning to ask questions they had never asked before. Why did the humans laugh? What did they know that the Reapers had forgotten? Questions would not leave them alone. Harbinger Kethmer had lived for 10,000 years. He was the oldest and most powerful of all the Reapers. He had watched 1,000,000 stars die. I had destroyed entire civilizations with a single command. Nothing in the galaxy had ever surprised him until now. He stood in the command center of his massive ship, eternal silence. Around him, dozens of Reaper officers worked at their stations. Holographic displays showed battle reports from across the galaxy. Every single report told the same impossible story. The humans were winning. Report, Kethmer commanded. His voice was like thunder in the metal room. Harvester Nolkar stepped forward. He was young for a Reaper, only 3,000 years old. His red eyes glowed with confusion and anger. The humans have won 17 major battles in the last month, Nolkar said. They should have been extinct by now. Instead, they are expanding into new star systems. How many ships have we lost? 437. Harbinger. The humans have lost less than 50. Kethmer's metal hands clenched into fists. In 10,000 years of conquest, no species had ever inflicted such losses on the Reapers. Most civilizations surrendered after seeing just one Reaper ship. Show me the recordings, he ordered. The main display activated. Kethmer watched video. From the battle at Proxima Station, he saw the human commander, Choi Do-yoon, laughing as she turned mining equipment into weapons. He watched her laugh even as her station exploded, taking half a Reaper fleet with it. Why does she laugh? Kethmer asked. We do not know, Harbinger, Nolkar replied. None of our behavioral models can explain it. The display changed to show Captain Han Woo-jin leading Reaper attack ships through an asteroid field. The human pilot was telling jokes over the radio while enemy ships crashed into rocks around him. He is not afraid, Kethmer observed. Should be terrified. But instead he makes jokes. Another recording began. This one showed Lieutenant Kim So-young's patrol ships flying in circles around a Reaper battleship. The small ships moved like dancers, graceful and quick. The human commander was laughing so hard she could barely speak. Turn it off, Kethmer said. The display went dark. The command center was silent, except for the humming of machines. The Reaper officers waited for their leader to speak. In 10,000 years, Kethmer said slowly, we have harvested more than 1 million worlds. Every species we have encountered has reacted the same way. First comes fear. Then comes desperation. Finally comes surrender or death. He turned to face his officers. The humans are different. They skip fear and desperation completely. They go straight to laughter. Perhaps they are insane, suggested another officer, Destroyer Quinter. No, Kethmer said. Insane beings cannot fight with such skill. Insane beings cannot coordinate such effective resistance. The humans are not crazy. There's something else. What are they, Harbinger? Kethmer walked to the viewing window. Outside, he could see the stars scattered across space like tiny lights. Somewhere among those stars, humans were probably laughing as they prepared for their next impossible. Victory. I do not know, he admitted. And that troubles me more than their victories. Nolkar stepped closer. Harbinger, some of our younger commanders are beginning to hesitate before attacking human ships. They have heard the laughter, and it makes them uncomfortable. Uncomfortable. Kethmer's voice was dangerous. Yes, Harbinger. So they say the human laughter gets inside their minds. It makes them question why they are fighting. This was the worst news yet. Reapers never questioned their purpose. They were created to harvest civilizations when they became advanced enough. It was their nature, their reason for existing. If Reapers were starting to question that purpose, everything could change. Show me the recording from Captain Kim Taeho's battle, Kethmer ordered. The display activated again. Kethmer watched the human captain ram his ship into a Reaper vessel while laughing with pure joy. The explosion destroyed 4 Reaper ships and saved an entire human colony fleet. But it was not the victory that troubled Kethmer. It was the sound of Taeho's laughter. Even through the metal walls of the Reaper ship, even across the cold vacuum of space, that laughter somehow felt warm. That human has fought us 7 times, Kethmer said. 7 times he has faced certain death. Oh, he is their best commander, Nolkar agreed. Our analysts believe he is the key to understanding their behavior? Then we will study him, Kethmer decided. Send Seeker Velton to observe the humans. She is our best intelligence gatherer. Tell her to learn everything about their species. What specifically should she look for? Kethmer thought for a long moment. Tell her to find out why they laugh. Tell her to discover what makes them find death amusing instead of frightening. And if she cannot learn these things, then we will do something that has never been done in the history of the Reapers, Kethmer said. We will ask the humans directly. The other Reapers stared at him in shock. In 10,000 years, the Reapers had never asked anything of their prey. They simply took what they wanted. Harbinger, Quinter said carefully, that would be unprecedented. These humans are unprecedented, Kethmer replied. They have done things that should be impossible. They have made us doubt our own strength. Perhaps it is time we learned something new. He turned back to the viewing window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, Captain Kim Tae-ho was probably preparing for another battle. He would face overwhelming odds with a smile on his face. He would laugh as death approached him, and somehow he would find a way to win. Velton will leave immediately, Kethmer announced. She will study the humans for as long as necessary. When she returns, we will know why they laugh. And then, Harbinger, Kethmer's glowing eyes reflected in the window. For the first time in his long existence, he was not certain what would happen next. The humans had brought uncertainty into his ordered universe. Strangely, he found that uncertainty almost interesting. Then he said, we will decide whether to destroy them or to learn from them. The Reaper officers looked at each other with confusion. Learn from their prey. The idea was unthinkable. But then again, everything about the humans was unthinkable. In her small ship, at the edge of the Reaper fleet, Seeker Veltan received her orders. She was to infiltrate human space and discover the secret of their laughter. She was to learn what made them so different from every other species in the galaxy. As her ship disappeared into hyperspace, heading toward human territory, Veltan wondered what she would find. The humans had confused the entire Reaper fleet. With their strange behavior, what would they do to one lone Reaper who came to study them? She suspected she was about to find out. Seeker Veltan was different from other Reapers. She was smaller, built for hiding and watching instead of fighting. Her ship could become invisible, and she could change her appearance to look like other species. For 3,000 years, she had been the eyes and ears of the Reaper fleet she had never studied. A species like the humans before, Veltan's invisible ship drifted near a human colony called New Sol. The planet was small and peaceful, with farms and small cities scattered. Across its surface, it looked like an easy target for the Reaper fleet. But Veltan knew this planet had already been attacked twice. Both times, the humans had driven away Reaper forces much larger than their own defenders. Both times, the human commanders had been laughing during the battles. She decided to land and observe the humans up close. Veltan changed her appearance to look like a human woman. She made her ship look like a civilian transport and landed at the colony's spaceport. The human guards were friendly and helpful. They welcomed her and asked if she needed anything. No species had ever been friendly to a Reaper before. She walked through the streets of the main city, watching and listening. What she saw confused her more than any battle report. Human children were playing in the parks, but their games were strange. They pretended to be soldiers fighting giant monsters. When the monsters won, the children would laugh and start the game over. When the children won, they would cheer and then pretend to be the monsters instead. Why do they play games about fighting? Veltan asked a human woman who was watching the children. The woman smiled. It teaches them not to be afraid. My grandmother used to say that if you can laugh at something scary, it cannot hurt you as much. Veltan did not understand. Fear was useful. Fear kept creatures alive by making them careful. Why would humans teach their children not to be afraid? Visited a human school and listened to the teachers. They told stories about great human heroes from the past, but these were not normal hero stories. The heroes were ordinary people who had done extraordinary things when they faced impossible situations. One story was about a human named Lee Sun-sin, who had fought enemy ships with vessels made of metal and shaped like turtles. When the enemy had more ships and better weapons, Sun-sin had laughed and said that turtles were harder to sink than regular boats. Another story was about a pilot named Kim Young-go who had crashed her plane into an enemy ship to save her city. Her last radio message had been a joke about learning to fly without wings. Why do you tell stories about people who died? Veltan asked a teacher. Because they chose how to die, the teacher replied. They could have been afraid, but instead, they were brave. It could have been sad, but instead they found reasons to smile. That is what makes them heroes. Veltan visited a human military base and watched soldiers training. They practiced fighting, but they also did something else. They told jokes while they fought. They made fun of their enemies and themselves. They turned serious combat training into something that sounded like play. Does the laughter make you better fighters? She asked a sergeant named Park Dalsu. Of course, he said. When you are laughing, you are relaxed. When you are relaxed, you think more clearly. When you think clearly, you make better decisions. But what if you die? Park shrugged. Everyone dies eventually. The question is whether you live well before you die. Laughing makes life better, so we laugh as much as we can. That night, Veltan sat in her ship and tried to make sense of what she had learned. The humans were not crazy, were not stupid. They simply had a completely different way of thinking about life and death. Other species saw death as the end of everything good. Humans saw death as just another part of life. Other species tried to avoid death by being careful and afraid. Humans tried to make their lives meaningful so that death would not matter as much. She decided to visit more human colonies. On the planet New Busan, she watched human engineers building new cities. They sang songs while they worked. Songs were about workers who had built great things in the past, often in dangerous conditions. Songs turned hard work into something joyful. On the mining world of New Jeju, she observed human miners digging for precious metals in deep caves. The work was dangerous, and accidents happened often. But when a miner was hurt, the others would visit him and tell funny stories until he felt better. When a miner died, they would have a party to celebrate his life instead of crying about his death. Do not fear death? Veltan asked a miner named Choi Byung-ho. Of course we fear it, he said. Fear alone does not help anyone. We choose to remember that we are alive right now, and being alive is pretty amazing. On the research station orbiting New Daegu, she watched human scientists studying dangerous experiments. They worked with materials that could explode or poison them. But they made jokes about the dangers, and they celebrated every successful experiment like it was a victory in war. Science is about learning new things, explained Dr. Yoon Ha-jin. You cannot learn new things if you are too afraid to try. So we make jokes about the fear, and then we do the experiments anyway. After 6 weeks of observation, Veltan finally understood what made humans different. They had not eliminated fear. They had decided that fear was not the most important emotion. They had chosen curiosity, joy, and hope as their guides, instead of terror and caution. When they faced the Reapers, they were afraid. But they were also excited by the challenge. They were curious about whether they could win. They were hopeful that their victories would protect other humans. Most importantly, they found the whole situation funny. They thought it was amusing that ancient, powerful beings like the Reapers could be confused by something as simple as laughter. Veltan recorded her final report for Harbinger Kethmer. The humans do not laugh because they are insane, she said, into her recorder. They laugh because they have chosen to define themselves by how they live, not by how they die. They believe that a life filled with laughter and courage is worth more than a long life filled with fear. They know they might die fighting us. They simply do not care. They have decided that protecting their families and friends is more important than protecting themselves, and they find joy in making that choice. Most disturbing of all, Harbinger, they do not hate us. They see us as a puzzle to be solved, a challenge to be overcome. They look forward to fighting us because we give them opportunities to be heroes. I believe this is why they always win. They're not fighting for their lives. They are fighting for their right to choose how to live. They have chosen to live with laughter. Veltan sent the report and prepared to return to the Reaper fleet. As her ship left human space, she felt something she had never experienced. Before, she felt sad to be leaving, for the first time in her existence. She had been around beings who seemed to enjoy being alive. Their laughter had been contagious, even for a Reaper. As she flew back toward Harbinger Kethmer's ship, Veltan found herself wondering what it would be like to laugh. The largest fleet in galactic history surrounded Earth. 10,000 Reaper ships hung in space like a dark cloud, Our weapons pointed at humanity's homeworld. Every Reaper in the galaxy had come for this final battle. Fleet Admiral Kim Tae-ho stood on the bridge of the UES Indomitable, Earth's newest and most powerful warship. Around him, his crew worked at their stations with the same calm efficiency that had made humans famous across the galaxy. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Yoon Soo-jin, "the Reaper fleet is in position. They are requesting communication." Tae-ho had been promoted 3 times since his first battle with the Reapers 2 years ago. He had fought them in 17 different systems and had never lost a single engagement. His laughter had become a legend among both human and alien species. "Put them on screen," he ordered. The main display flickered, and the massive form of Harbinger Kethmer appeared, the Ancient. Reaper looked exactly as he had in every previous encounter, but something in his glowing red eyes seemed different. "Admiral Tae-ho Kethmer said." His voice carried the weight of 10,000 years. "We meet at last," Harbinger Tae-ho replied with a smile. "I have been looking forward to this conversation. You know why we are here? To harvest humanity?" "Yes, it is what you do. It is what you have always done." "Yes," Kethmer agreed. "But first, I have questions." This was unusual. Reapers did not normally ask questions of their prey. Around the bridge, Tae-ho's crew exchanged glances, but continued working. "Ask your questions," Tae-ho said. "We have studied your species for months," Kethmer began. "I've sent our best intelligence gatherer to observe your colonies. We have analyzed every battle you have fought against us." "And what did you learn?" "We learned that you are not like any species we have encountered in 10,000 years of existence. You face death with laughter instead of fear. You turn hopeless battles into victories through methods that should not work. You make our ancient warriors hesitate and doubt themselves." Tae-ho's grin grew wider. "That sounds about right. Why do you laugh when you should be terrified?" The question hung in the air between them. On the bridge of the Indomitable, the crew waited to hear their admiral's answer. In the depths of space, 10,000 Reaper ships waited for the same answer. Because Tae-ho said, "Being terrified is boring." Kethmer's red eyes flickered. "Explain, Harbinger. You have lived for 10,000 years. In all that time, have you ever felt joy? Joy is irrelevant. We have a purpose. Your purpose is to harvest civilizations. But why? What do you gain from it?" "We gain order. We prevent chaos. We maintain the balance of the galaxy." Tae-ho laughed, and the sound echoed through both ships. "That is the most boring purpose I have ever heard." "Boring?" "Yes. You spend eternity doing the same thing over and over. You never try anything new. You never surprise yourselves. You never discover what you might become if you made different choices." Kethmer did not respond immediately. Behind him, other Reapers could be seen listening to the conversation. "What would you have us do instead?" he asked finally. "Whatever you want," Tae-ho said. "That is the point. You can choose. We are what we are. We cannot change. Everyone can change. The question is whether you want to." On the bridge, Commander Lee Ja-hai stepped forward. She was Tae-ho's tactical officer and had been with him through 7 major battles. "Sir," she said quietly, "I am detecting some kind of energy fluctuation in the Reaper fleet." "What kind?" "A fluctuation. I think some of their ships are powering down their weapons." Tae-ho looked at the screen where Kethmer waited. "Harbinger, are your ships experiencing technical difficulties?" "No," Kethmer replied. "Some of our commanders are refusing to fire on your world." "Why?" "They say they want to hear more of your laughter. They say it makes them feel something they have not felt in thousands of years." "What do they feel?" "Curiosity, wonder, the desire to experience something new." Tae-ho's smile became gentler, more understanding. "Those are good feelings, Harbinger. They are what make life worth living. But we are Reapers. We harvest civilizations. It is our nature. Nature can change. Look at us. Humans used to fight each other all the time. We used to be afraid of everything. But we learned to laugh instead. A fight. We learn to be curious instead of afraid. And if we choose to change, what then? Then you get to find out what comes next. That is the most exciting part of being alive." Kethmer was quiet for a long time. The space around Earth was silent, except for the hum of engines and the whisper of solar wind. Admiral Kethmer said finally. "I propose something that has never been done in the history of the galaxy. I am listening. Join us, not as harvest, but as partners. You help us learn what we have forgotten in our millions of years of existence. Teach us to laugh as you do. And in return, we will protect the galaxy instead of harvesting it. Right. We will explore new worlds instead of destroying them. We will learn to live instead of simply existing." Taeho looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. Lieutenant Yoon Sujin, who had followed him through impossible battles. Commander Lee Ji-hai, whose tactical brilliance was matched only by her terrible jokes. Engineer Park Min-soo, who could fix anything while telling funny stories about his childhood. They were all smiling. Harbinger Taeho said, "I think that is the best idea you have ever had. But I have one condition. Name it. You have to learn to appreciate our sense of humor. Fair warning, we have thousands of years of jokes to catch you up on." For the first time in 10,000 years, Harbinger Kethmer made a sound that might have been laughter. Bah. It was rusty and uncertain, but it was definitely laughter. "We accept these terms, Admiral. Perhaps it is time the galaxy heard laughter from both our species." Round Earth, the massive Reaper fleet began to power down their weapons. The dark ships that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia slowly moved into formation alongside the human defense fleet. "So what happens now?" asked Commander Lee. Taeho looked out at the mixed fleet of human and Reaper ships and started to laugh. Soon his entire crew joined in, their laughter echoing across the communication channels to every ship in the fleet. "Ow," he said, wiping tears from his eyes. "We teach 10,000 ancient death machines how to tell jokes. This should be interesting." In the depths of space, Reaper commanders listened to human laughter and felt something they had thought was lost forever. They felt hope. The galaxy would never be the same again. But for the first time in millions of years, that seemed like a very good thing.